Hi everyone. When we ask what the weather's like, usually what we want to know is it raining or snowing right now? Is it going to rain or snow soon? And also, how cold is it right now? Do I need to wear a jacket? Is it going to get colder later? So usually what we care about most is the precipitation, if it's raining or snowing or gonna rain or snow soon, and the temperature. Today, we're going to learn how to use thermometers, which are tools that we use to measure the temperature, and we're going to make a model of a thermometer. Most of the time when I want to know what the temperature is, I go to a website like weather.com and I type in the name of the place and I check to see what the weather is today and what it's expected to be soon. At the time that I'm making this video, it's 66 degrees, and it will probably go up to 70 degrees this afternoon. How do they know? Because people are using thermometers to measure the temperature. The word thermometer is made of two parts, therma and meter. Therma means heat, and meter is something that can measure things. A thermometer is something that we can use to measure heat, and we use it to find out the temperature, how cold or how warm it is. Some thermometers are digital. They just show you a number, and they need batteries. But in the science lab, we use thermometers that look like this. They usually have a glass tube in the middle filled with a red liquid. The liquid is alcohol with red coloring added. And when it gets warmer, the alcohol gets bigger and it spreads out in the tube and moves up. Usually one side is marked with lines and the letter F. In the United States, we use the Fahrenheit temperature scale. In other countries and scientists in the US, the Celsius scale is used. So the other side is marked with the letter C. If you look between two numbers, say 50 degrees and 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you probably won't see 10 little lines because usually there isn't enough room. So each tiny little line in between the numbers might represent more than just 1 degree. Let's try reading some thermometers together. These thermometers all have F on the left for Fahrenheit and C on the right for Celsius. Let's start at the first one on the left. The highest number is 100. Below that is a 90. Let's look between the 90 and 100. There isn't enough room for 10 tiny little tick marks. So let's figure out how many degrees each little tick mark stands for. If we counted 1 degree at a time, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, that's not going to work. What if we count by twos? 90, 92, 94, 96, 98, 100. That works. Each of those little tick marks is 2 degrees. So if we want to figure out this temperature in Fahrenheit, we start at the nearest large tick mark, so that's 90, and then we count up 2 and maybe another half of one. So maybe it's 92 or 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's look at Celsius. We find the nearest number that's ending in 0, so that's 30. That's one of our big tick marks. And can we count by ones on this side? 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Nope, that's not going to work either. So let's try counting by twos on this side. 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. Yeah, that works. So again, on this side, each tiny tick mark is 2 degrees. So we'll count up by twos, 30, 32, 34. This is 34 degrees Celsius. Now I want you to pause this video and see if you can figure out the temperatures on the next two thermometers in both Fahrenheit and Celsius, and then start up the video again, and I'll tell you what I think. Okay, pause it now. Okay, I hope you took some time to figure out how to read these thermometers. Here's what I think. They all have the same scale, so they all have 2 degrees for each little tick mark. So I like to go to the nearest large number. So here on the Fahrenheit side, that's 30, and then count by twos. 30, 32, 34. It's either 34 or 35. It's very close to 34. So 34 or 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And on the Celsius scale, again, we're counting by twos. 0, 2, 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, let's do the last one now. On the left side, the Fahrenheit side, we start at 20. 20, 22, 24. It's 24, maybe 25 degrees. And then on the Celsius side, we have 0, and then we're going to have to go negative. This temperature is below 0 on the Celsius side. Again, we're going to count by twos, but we're going to go by negative numbers. So 0, -2, -4. So that's -4 degrees Celsius, or 4 degrees below 0 Celsius. It's a lot like using a number line. Now we're going to make a model of a thermometer. You're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need a pencil and a ruler and a piece of paper and a little bit of string, not very much, just about that long, And you might need a pair of scissors. So when we're done, it's going to look kind of like this, and I'm going to show you how we're going to make this. First, we're going to need the tall, skinny rectangle that represents the middle part of the thermometer. So we're going to trace the ruler to help us make a tall, skinny rectangle. So tall, skinny rectangle, and I'm going to leave it open on the ends because we're actually drawing just the middle part of a thermometer. And now we're going to add some tick marks that'll help us figure out what the temperatures are. One big tick mark will be 80. We're going to start with 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's put an F. F is in Fahrenheit. And then another tick mark a little bit lower, 70. And then another tick mark. Try to make them fairly evenly spaced, 60 and 50. And if you're not happy with the spacing, if they're not pretty even, you can erase them and redo them. Now, we're going to add the smaller tick marks. This is a little bit tricky to get the spacing right. So I'm going to suggest that you go lightly with a pencil, and then when you're happy with it, go over it heavier with the pencil. So we're going to add 4 little tick marks to each space between the numbers that we wrote. So I'm going to do mine lightly. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you feel like yours are not that even, you can erase them and redo them. I think these are good enough for me, so I'm going to go over them. These are my small tick marks. So 70 degrees, 72, 74, 76, 78, 80. Okay, now we're going to add the small tick marks between the 60 and the 70. Again, 4 light tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty happy with those, so I'm going to go over them. And then again, between 50 and 60, and this is the last set. Again, lightly, 4 small tick marks. And then heavier once you're happy with them. Okay, that's our Fahrenheit side. Those are degrees Fahrenheit. Let's do the Celsius side. C is for Celsius. And we're going to start by going directly opposite 50 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to put 1 large tick mark there, and we're going to label that 10, because in the Celsius scale, 10 degrees Celsius is the same temperature as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, for our next mark, we have to go up to 68. How do we find 68? We can go 60, 2, 4, 6, 8, and go right opposite that. And that's going to be our 20 degrees. So you can see the scale is quite different. And I don't want to add the little tick marks between the 10 and the 20 because I want to keep this very simple. Okay, now it's time to make a model of the red alcohol in the center. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do this. You can take a string, but your string needs to be able to lie pretty flat and straight. If your string is all curly and won't lie flat, you can use something that's straight, like a red pencil. We're not going to actually draw with it because I want you to be able to show different temperatures. If you have a string and it's frayed on the end, it has a rough end, here's a trick for making a clean edge. Make a little loop and put your scissors inside the loop and hold that loop tight. Wrap that loop around one part of the scissors, tug on it, and then put it close to your hand, close to where the scissor blades meet, and then give it a sharp, sudden snip. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to have to do that again. So you have to pull it pretty tight and snip it pretty hard, and your scissors need to be pretty sharp. Maybe these aren't sharp enough. Good enough. Okay, so let's pretend this is the red alcohol in the center of our thermometer. I'm going to show you 66 degrees. 60, 2, 4, 6. And if you want to do it with a pencil, 60, 2, 4, 6. That's what 66 degrees would look like. You can see it's a little bit less than 20 degrees on the Celsius scale. If I wanted to show 60 degrees, I would line it up next to the 60. So now what I'd like you to do is choose a couple of temperatures between 50 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And I want you to use the Flipgrid app to show a couple of different temperatures and challenge your classmates to figure out what temperatures you're trying to show with your thermometer. So go to the Flipgrid app on a phone or iPad. Use the join code 3ScienceLab. You're going to need to sign in using your OPS email address. And then once you're in, you can take your own pictures or videos and challenge your classmates to figure out what temperatures you're trying to show. And then everybody else will try to make guesses by putting comments on your pictures or videos. And you can make comments on other people's videos. So that way we can all challenge each other. See you in the Flipgrid group.